Hi, my name is Gary Blake and I'll be teaching you 4 different tips on how to improve your food photography game. First tip is finding your light source, whether you have access to professional lights, or if you have access to a large window, or if you have access to a shaded area. These are going to be the kind of things that make sure that you have nice, smooth, even lighting, so that way for later when you're editing your photo, there's not like this hard shadow, there's not like this, there's not like hard light on your photo. There's not like hard light anywhere. Tip number 2 is flat surface, flat background. Choose what your background is going to be. It mainly is going to help you tell your story. It mainly is going to help you also determine what kind of elements you use. But more important is trying to find a smooth background and a nice light source. Tip number 3 is elements of the story. What kind of story are you telling? Are you trying to tell dinner? Are you trying to tell breakfast? Let's say you're trying to shoot a bowl cereal. It doesn't necessarily make sense to have a bunch of spaghetti noodles everywhere. So what I like to do is I try and find, once I figure out what I'm shooting, I try and find elements that complement it, like that. Something that kind of tells the story of how I either made the dish, or it maybe even looks like I was creating the dish as it was happening. It doesn't necessarily have to be totally true, and you can use little things and tidbits to kind of make it around it. I know I have like a picture of like oatmeal, and then I use like the oats to kind of go around the plate, so then I kind of like makes it look cool, kind of makes it pop, it fills the frame with something, it tells a better story. And 4 is finally remember your camera settings. Camera settings are going to be key in how you tell a story. So for those of you who are professional photographers, knowing that if you shoot with a lower f-stop versus a higher f-stop, do you want everything to be in focus? Do you want not everything to be in focus? Do you want a high shutter speed? Do you want things to blur? Odds are things won't move, so you probably won't have a blur. But what I'm trying to get at is your camera settings will probably be key as far as what story you're trying to tell. So if you want your f-stop to be really low, you want that nice blurry background, you only want your subject to be in focus, and then everything else out of focus. It's a very contemporary look. It makes everything look nice and smooth, and oh my god, did you shoot that with a professional DSLR? Probably most of us are going to shoot it with either our phones or things like that. It's easy, it's quick, it's simple. While some of us may be doing this professionally, maybe shooting with a professional DSLR, in which case you probably either want everything in focus. It all depends. Maybe you're going to try and do a flat lay. Maybe you're going to try and do the key things to note are good light source, usually a window or something shaded, or something very, very even, like it is now until the sun is about to come behind me. A flat, you want to make sure it's a nice, flat, even surface. Now, sometimes that surface can have texture in it, and that's fine, but you want to have the predominant flat, and maybe depending on what you're shooting, what kind of color you're using, maybe you want that subject to pop, so you use a white background, so then that way only that subject has the ability to pop from the subject. Or maybe you're trying to use a complementary color versus blue or gray or black. That's going to tell a very moody story for the food that you're trying to take. Finally, elements of the subject. Remember, what are you shooting? What kind of story are you trying to tell? What did you make it with? These things will help tell a better story. These things will help add to the photo, and these things will like really make it pop. Finally, camera settings. What are you shooting? How long are you shooting with? Are you shooting long exposure? Are you shooting shallow depth of field? What are you trying to do? But more importantly, those are the 4 things you need to remember when you're shooting food photography. It's very simple, very easy, and anybody can do it. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and there will always be more videos coming up. I will have a little bit more YouTube tutorials, as far as camera tutorials, things like that as well. And I don't know how to end this.